Sometimes done is better than perfect.
Absolutely. Output over optimization. We can try to perfect it as much as we want, but if it doesn't come out, what's the point? I guess I kind of got bit by the bug of just creating early on, and it just kind of, it manifested in different avenues and different mediums throughout the year. And I would always usually have maybe a sequence of beats or, just sounds or something up there. That sounds crazy when you say it out loud. But just having that, like I said, just bit by the music bug, so to speak, and just having that going on in my head. Like, okay, let me put this sequences of noise together. Let me draw this and see how it looks on a piece of paper, and, just kind of expanding on that from there. Like Coach used to say, our bodies are vehicles. And so you want to fuel them the right way. Same mentally, physically, energetically, you want to make sure that you're in the position to execute at the highest level. Just having that discipline from the field carry over to just the little things like that. Nobody will see it. They won't. I couldn't do that if I wanted to.
This is the Clark Connection Podcast, where 12 years of coaching championships meets real-world leadership. Coach Clark broke through at the highest levels. Now he's bringing you the playbook. Every week, real leaders, real wins. Real strategies you can use Monday morning. If you're done with theory and ready for results, this is your show. You in? Let's go!
And welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast, where our mission is to help you grow in leadership, sharpen your mindset, and build meaningful connections that move your life and business forward. I'm your host, Coach Clark, a leadership trainer, speaker, and coach. In every episode, we bring you real conversations that challenge you to think, act, and lead at a higher level. For today's fast leadership truth, discipline beats talent when talent refuses to stay consistent. And before we dive in, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. This show is made possible because of your support. The Clark Connection Podcast is powered by Coach Clark Leadership and Development. We help organizations develop leaders who multiply leaders through live training, executive coaching, and cultural strategy. And if you want to grow alongside other serious leaders, join our Leadership Multiplier School community. It is a space built for intentional leadership growth, connection, and accountability. Learn more at CoachAClark.com. This episode of the Clark Connection Podcast is proudly brought to you by Hubbard Flooring Studio. Leadership, growth, and success all start with a strong foundation, but the details matter too. Vicki and her team don't just specialize in high-quality flooring. They also offer Hunter Douglas blinds, bringing both function and design together in one place. Whether you're building, renovating, or upgrading a home or business, Hubbard Flooring Studio helps you create a space that reflects quality, intention, and excellence, from the floors you stand on to the light you let in. Now, if you're ready to work with people who care about craftsmanship and getting it right, visit hubbardflooringstudio.com or call 225-924-1582. Hubbard Flooring Studio, covering you from the ground up. Shout out to Steadfast Electric for supporting the show. When your power needs to be reliable, not just good enough, Brian and his team deliver safe, dependable electric work for homes and businesses. No shortcuts, no guesswork. Learn more at steadfastelectric.com or call 225-457-7957. Steadfast Electric. Reliable power done right the first time. I want to recognize Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC for sponsoring the podcast. Bobby specializes in craniosacral therapy, a highly specialized form of body work. This work helps the body release deep tension, regulate the nervous system, and truly reset. To learn more or book a session, visit massagebook.com/acomfyquest or call 225-773-0307. A Comfy Quest. Specialized craniosacral therapy for a real nervous system reset. A big thanks to Automate Integrate Professional Services for backing the show. Andrew helps businesses simplify, automate, and integrate their systems so leaders stop wasting time on manual work and start focusing on growth. Visit automate-integrate.com or email Andrew at automate-integrate.com. Automate Integrate, systems that work so you don't have to overwork. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Bob Smith, chiropractic internist, for sponsoring today's episode. Dr. Bob focuses on identifying the root cause of pain and dysfunction, not just covering up symptoms. If your body isn't performing the way it should, this is the kind of care that looks deeper. Learn more at brspine.com or call 225-291-2626. Dr. Bob Smith, finding the root cause, not just chasing symptoms. And Aaron, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you making a little time and getting on here. So guys, like, if y'all recognize Aaron's voice, he is the voice of the Clark Connection podcast theme song. So appreciate you for doing that, man. Been getting a lot of good comments and feedback from that.
Yes, sir. It was my pleasure. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm glad you're getting some good reviews. He actually came up with the script, so don't let him fool y'all. That was not just me. He wrote that, so I just had to make sure the delivery was good. But no, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. Hey, thank you, man.
No, it was awesome. It was awesome. No, you definitely made it sound better than I could have. But I guess that kind of leads right into the very first question that I had was, you said that you're an audio and visual engineer and producer. So what exactly does that do? So
when it comes to, it really just depends on the project, but my role usually stays the same. If we're doing a mainly audio project like voice work or just recording a line to be sequenced out later, that's when I'll come in and I'll make sure the audio sounds crisp, make sure it has the right pitch and tone and frequency to it, and then I'll apply the dialogue where it needs to be applied as far as that project. If there's no visual behind it and it's just purely audio, then we can sequence it out and upload it wherever. And on the visual side of it, I work with the framing. I do the post and pre-production. I set up shots, different angles. I do color grading, all kinds of fun stuff after the fact with the editing procedure of once we finish the visual aspect of recording, then I usually do my magic with the editing and the sequencing of the visual aspect of things as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, and I love some of this, all the stuff that you post, not some of it, all of it, whenever I catch it. I think my favorite was when you did the David Goggins, The Mirror.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That for Amped Up, the video Amped Up. Yes, sir. I definitely, so with that one, it was, that's funny that you say that, because it was more, I did feel like I had a David Goggins moment. I was like, all right, how do we start with the type of motivation, whether it be looked at as stern or just, come on, get up and do something. Like I wanted to be in your face. And so that, I wanted to make sure I at least showcase that.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool, man. Cause I was like, how did he do? And then I was like, all right, I got him. That was good. Yeah, that one, I like that one a lot. And so now what was it that got you into the hip hop scene and creating all, like, what was that got you started doing that?
I've always been surrounded to some degree with music and just self-expression. So my mother she's a single mother in the military at the time. And so a lot of times she would have drill weekends where she would just work on the weekends, and she would drop me off by my cousin Evika's house. And she's an elementary school teacher. And so she really cultivated our self-expression and being into the arts. And so that went a long way with just my passion for music. And so I guess I kind of got bit by the bug of just creating early on, and it just kind of, it manifested in different avenues and different mediums throughout the years. So I don't think I could help that if I wanted to be quite honest. I was always drawing in class, always writing something, just always something in the creative field. It was just always on my mind. And I would always usually have maybe a sequence of beats or, just sounds or something up there. That sounds crazy when you say it out loud. But like, just having that like I said, just bit by the music bug, so to speak, and just having that going on in my head. Like, okay, let me put this sequences of noise together. Let me draw this and see how it looks on a piece of paper, and just kind of expanding on that from there throughout the years. So if I started off drawing, then I at least take that illustration to a visual medium like a computer or a canvas or something like that, and tabletop beatboxing. Further, computer programming, you got Logic Pro, Fruity Loops, and things, all these beat making programs. And so I just was able to get my hands on those and just kind of went crazy, so to speak.
Yeah, no, and I do remember that because for those of y'all that didn't know, me and Aaron actually played football together in high school.
Yes, sir.
And I remember you always having some sort of freestyle or being one of the guys that could just roll off, man, and having a huge admiration for that. And that was why I knew whenever I was looking to redo the intro and theme song, I was like, all right, I knew exactly who I was going to, because I wanted to bring that New Orleans sound, that beat, just bring home back into it,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I've been looking for this picture I ran across of you and me in the locker room. When I find it, I'm going to upload it and I'm going to make sure I tag you in it. But it's literally us at the locker room, and it's like big brother, little brother type of energy. I'm like, man, I'm going to find this. I'm going to tag you in it. I promise you. But we were so fresh faced. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Hey, it's not the one where we were mugged up.
It is that one. It is that one. That is saying, yes, it is that one. It's exactly that one. I'm glad. How do you remember that? Because I didn't remember that till I came across it. Like,
well, when you started talking about
around
it,
here somewhere,
what picture did we take? Because it wouldn't.
Yes, sir. That is the exact one.
We couldn't just go, hey, take this picture of us and pull out our iPhone 16.
That was an actual physical. Somebody took that out on a camera. Like
we had to let the flash charge up.
Yes, sir. Polaroid type energy.
Shake it. Shake it.
Hey, look, we're revealing our age at this point in time.
Oh, man. I was about to say, I bet I could probably find it in one of those, but I'm not going to do it right now. One of the books.
Yes, sir.
I know I have it in your book. And as you started talking, that's why, because I remember showing my boys that. I was like, yeah, this is my twin brother, Aaron. And they were like,
but you're so much taller than
like,
him.
What? yeah. I was like, well, we had different daddies and mothers, okay? Jeez.
Clearly, but we were brought together under the Becknell program, Man, I have to tell you, that was like the surrealest moment seeing Coach on here. It's like, seeing him outside of the coaching capacity is always weird for me. So I was like, hey, it's Coach Becknell. He's a human. He's not just coach. He's not just coach.
Oh, dude, that was probably one of my favorite episodes that I've done.
Yes, sir. That was a good episode. That was a good episode.
Well, I mean, when I started coaching, I got to connect with him on a different level as you're now a peer, which was weird.
Yeah, sir.
But that being able to talk like, hey, tell me more in depth those details of playing at Tulane. Tell me more about how you got. Like, I didn't realize that. I thought he got hired as the head coach at River Oaks. I didn't realize that he came in was an assistant coach for 2 years and then became the head coach. So
yes,
lots of cool stories, even hearing like, well, was Katrina your junior year or senior year?
Junior year.
Okay. But yeah, he was talking about, like the different dynamics in that. So you were actually in there. I didn't even think about that until just now. So how was the dynamics in that locker room?
It was an adjustment, but it wasn't too big of one, because I mean, it was at that point you had a lot of people ready to be back home and just play the game that they love. So I think from the at least from a playing standpoint, it was a minor adjustment, but it wasn't anything that we couldn't get over or that was detrimental to the program. And I often wonder, now that we stand that, I wonder how it was coaching with that many different styles, having them collaborate together. Because at one point, you had two rivaling coaches, like two coaching rivals come together and bring something special. So it's like that was an interesting dynamic. So it's like, I wonder how on that end, how that was, just having all these different personalities, playing styles, and just characteristics just coming together and like try to form a team of individuals who were once rivals to some degree, So that was interesting, but it was a good environment. It was one they really adapted, learned, and loved. More importantly, like you really got to go beyond that school rivalry and really like, okay, so they play just like us, they practice just like us. So you really didn't see that many. The differences were out the window, so to speak, because everybody was in the same boat. You know what I mean? Yeah, everybody was in the same kind of sense of let's get back home and let's play.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I think that helps too. That being that everybody was, because for those that don't know, that was essentially like you had Belchase High School, Port Sulphur High School, Buras High School, Boothville Venice High School, all in one. And so that would be kind of like LSU and Auburn, the combining programs, and make there's two rivalries that don't mix.
Mm-hmm. A lot of strong wills that could potentially clash if they're not on the same page.
If you're listening and thinking, my team needs this, that's exactly why Coach Clark Leadership and Development exists. We partner with businesses, churches, and organizations that want practical leadership training, not theory, but tools leaders can use immediately. If you're responsible for developing people, let's talk soon. Visit CoachAClark.com. Yeah. And so, how did you make, because you were a 3-year starter at that, or a 2-year starter. No, a 3-year starter, because you started as a freshman with us.
2 years. Right? I came in as a sophomore. I did get some good practice. I got a lot of practice time as a freshman. Well, a lot of, between, I practiced a lot with you guys between, I think it was scout team and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't start till my sophomore year.
That's right, because we had some studs at running back your senior year.
Yes, sir. We had a roster. We had a roster.
And,
yes, sir.
John and good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And Errol, cool.
Yes, yep, absolutely. We had a deep roster, so it was like, I'm just gonna sit back and learn. I'll watch you guys, and I'll learn from you. I'll learn from the greats before me. So that's really, because you come in as a freshman, it's like these guys seem like giants, and it's like, all right, I'll sit back and see what I need to see. I don't want to make any waves. I don't want to be the freshman that gets tied to the goalpost or anything like that. So I just want to learn at this point.
We wouldn't have done it for too long. It wouldn't have been that.
No,
bad.
but and you guys were welcoming, and that's the great part. Like, we came into a very welcoming program, so it's like, as a freshman, you're wondering what is it going to be like, because you see the stuff on TV or you hear, rumors in the wind. It's like, yeah, they're gonna pick on y'all almost every day, and it's like, that wasn't the case. Y'all really were good mentors, and y'all brought us in with love and acceptance. So that was an easy transition too, though. So that's what made that as good as it was.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that had to do with who we had as mentors, our freshman year was that Dome team that lost to Parkview in the Dome. So we knew what it took and how important you were to the process, because we were wanting to get back there. We were wanting to go. And that's what I'll tell anybody is, once you've made it to that top level, having been a player there twice and then a coach there twice, you'll do anything to get there and win. To be in a state championship game 4 times and not win once is pretty aggravating. But you learn from that, because those seniors that year, your Chris Henrys, your Shane Shelleys, that they were able to help kind of lift us up and that teach us how to lead and what leadership looked like. And so we wanted to turn around and make the same thing for y'all. And that's kind of what I was thinking too, is like, what did you in the crew that was at Bell Chase do to make those other schools feel welcome? Like, what did y'all do to work along with those guys?
So for me, I realized it was you're gonna be surrounded by these people. You're gonna be surrounded by these different groups of individuals, and it would only make sense to find the common ground, regardless of what school you came from. You were, what your speed was, what your weight lifting abilities were. You were going to see these folks, and you were going to play. You were going to practice. You were going to have downtime. You were going to have moments with these folks. So it only made sense to make it work to a degree. And again, for me, I was already familiar with a few faces from other schools. So it was just a natural process. We all go to the same school. So you're my classmate, you're my teammate. And that's really what it was for me. Just, it's new kids to the school. And even the way it was functioning, I was still new. It's like coming back to the school, but it was still, I was still new there in a sense of like adjustments, having to work new plays, having to figure out, new personalities to get along with. And so, yeah, it was just basically just, the adjustment was, they are my classmates, they are my teammates. So that's really, whether it be a freshman or just a transfer, it's still, that, again, going back to the mentorship that was given to me, just extending it, just giving that welcoming energy as I received it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think that's one that people don't put enough emphasis on too, because how that all shapes where you were, what you did, that definitely has to play into what you do now. And so how would you say that football experience shapes how you work now?
So, I mean, it really molded my work ethic and the ability to spot fatigue, manage it, and still utilize it. Like, okay, all right, I know I have a workload here. I have this type of day ahead of me. Let's prepare myself so that way I can execute everything I need to. Like Coach used to say, our bodies are vehicles, and so you want to fuel them the right way. Same mentally, physically, energetically. You want to make sure that you're in the position to execute at the highest level. So I just, the weightlifting training, the mentality to get it done, I carry over. Just whether it be a mixing project, I'll spend. So the funny thing is, back to the visual aspect, if I use a green screen in a certain project, I'll spend maybe like anywhere from hours to days working on a scene that'll only take maybe like 3 seconds. And a person might not even register everything that's in that frame, but it's like, no, I'll know it. I know it's there. I'll see it. And I need to make sure that it's the exact way that I see it in my mind and want it to end up. So just having that discipline from the field carry over to just the little things like that. Nobody will see it. They won't. I couldn't do that if I wanted to. So like it gave me that discipline to keep going, to actually do the work.
We want to take a quick moment to shout out today's premier sponsor, Vicky with Hubbard Flooring Studio. Leadership always starts with a strong foundation, and so does your home or office. Vicky and her team don't just cover floors, they help you step into excellence one plank, tile, or carpet at a time. And now, they are offering Hunter Douglas blinds, giving you the ability to set the tone, control the light, and create the perfect environment to lead from. Hubbard Flooring Studio, where strong foundations and bright visions begin. And that brings up a good point. People don't realize how much time, effort, and energy you put into the visual. Like what would you, or audio, even the audio, like what would you say, how long does it take you to do on average a typical project?
So if we do, let's say it's just one song, and usually it depends on if I'm recording someone, it's a relatively quicker process to record them, because especially if they come in knowing how they want to deliver everything. And then for me, it's fun to just clean up the audio from there. I'll fine tune the music, different parts of the music and different aspects of their vocals. But usually I can have it together in maybe a day. But for me to be so meticulous, I try to at least make sure that everything is of the highest quality. So maybe a couple 3 or 4 days. That's just me really being meticulous about the procedure and the final product of it.
Yeah.
So like, let's say maybe a song,
like
maybe a couple days.
Sorry, I was gonna say, like, even like you had said though, that nobody else will notice it, but you will.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it's like, even if we're doing it, like I said, it depends on how long the project is. But even if it's they'll be speaking and it'll be a deep breath drawn, and it's like, okay, that might be distracting to even like just the flow of how the cadence of the speaker is. So let me just lower that breath a little bit, or let me put that audio, let me sequence out the pacing of it a little bit more so it's smoother, it sounds a little more natural. But it's really just, it's what are we doing with the project, how long the project is, and if we're doing song by song, then maybe a few days. But if we're doing maybe an album, so to speak, an album's worth of songs, maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 songs, then it'll probably be maybe a month, give or take. But usually the post-production takes more time than anything, because we're always, so as an engineer, we do this thing called the car test. And so we'll take the final next to the final project, and we'll take the audio and we'll put it on a source to where we can listen to it in car speakers, and that'll give us the idea of the measurement of the bar of where we need to either take the mix is like, okay, it's almost there, or all right, it's there. It's where I need to be. But the car test is usually the second to last step before it's like, all right, we're almost there. So we'll spend, like, for me personally, I'll spend. Oh yeah. So it's like, visually, you'll run it back. Maybe depending on what type of computer you have and what programming you use. But visually speaking, once you get it to where you're watching it as a viewer and not critiquing it as you go, then you're like, okay, I'm satisfied with it. But on the engineering part, it's like, okay, we got to do the car test before we finalize it. So the car test is usually like, all right, we're at the last stage. But it's a meticulous process, but I love it. I love it though.
Yeah. No, and I like that. I didn't even think about that, but that's like got me thinking back in the day when we were cruising around after a game or something, and the beat that was coming out of the car, it mattered. Oh man,
yes,
that's
sir.
cool.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because that's how
car
it feels.
Test ride now.
Right. And it's funny because it's like, it comes across like you're just cruising, and then you're like, and then you hear that one nuance, you're like, oh, I gotta fix that. And then you'll go back, go back and immediately start fixing whatever it is that you hear in there. So yeah, it can be fun, but like, it'll take you right out as soon as like, all right, let me lower the background noise, or let me fix that audio part. But it's usually it's fun though, regardless of how tedious it can be.
And how often does that happen, where like you get in the car, you're playing the song, and then it's like, oh, we got to fix that?
Every time, Aaron. Every time. It's like, I will hear the song. I'm like, okay, on the record, like if it's my project, especially if it's mine, I know that I can take more time. I'll have more turnaround time. Like, there's no turnaround time for me, right? If I'm working with the individual who wants their project or single in a certain way, then I'll make sure that I'm doing everything I can within that time frame. I usually try to make it so that it's no longer than a week for whatever it is that they're asking for or what we're working on. But if my own personal project, I'm listening to it with the most judgmental ears every time. So it's like, I don't like the way I breathed on that one. That breath was too deep. Let me go back so I've gotten to the point where I can record pretty efficiently, but that mixing, I have no idea. I've probably spent months on one mix, and I was like, I gotta move on. I gotta move on.
And you were real easy to work with for mine. Like, cause once I got it to you, it was like, oh, hey, can we try this? Can we try that? And I know the one that we always stuck on that I loved whenever I was showing it to like my wife and my assistant. We loved the "Let's go" at the end of.
Yes, sir.
I was like, oh,
But and again, kudos to you for hearing that. You know what I mean? Because that also takes a vision beyond just having it on paper. It's like, okay, well, let's see what would sound and bring it together. And so, like, when you get your feedback, that's kind of like your car test, right? For when you're doing the review for your podcast, your intro and stuff like that. That would be you getting. That's beautiful that you have that support system, and they can offer that, like, give you that real time critique. So that's cool. That's super cool.
yeah. And I actually had, because I sent it out to a couple of my faithful listeners, and I was like, all right, something's missing. What's missing? And they listened to it, and then they were like, the beat didn't drop after you said "let's go," because I was like, I was so focused, I was in love with how you said "let's go," and they're like, you got to get the beat to drop after, and I went,
right. When you said that, I was in the same state of mind you were. I was like, yeah, okay, everything sounds good on the audio aspect. Everything, it sounds good. It's a beat drop. Oh yeah.
that's why I called you immediately.
Because that's funny how sequencing makes. Hey, Aaron, let me. I got something in mind for you.
Mm-hmm. No, and
I'm glad you brought that up because that.
Oh, continue.
Oh, I was because that working with different projects with different personalities is like you have folks that have different visions, and you want to make sure that their vision is executed exactly how they want it. So you have to be open-minded and flexible enough to be like, okay, you can't be emotionally invested in the project because it's like, hey, I'm going to need you to do this a few more times. So it's like, okay, cool, no problem. So, it's definitely, you grow thick skin in this process as well. So I love that part about it.
Yeah. And I was going to say too, I think a lot of that has to do where this is people who participate in athletics. And if you were in the band in high school, that you're used to this. You don't look at the feedback or the coaching or the criticism. I hate to call it criticism, but you don't look at it as a bad thing because you got told for so long, all right, you were supposed to have stepped with your right foot here. You only took a half step. We wanted a full step. And so let's fix that. Let's make that better.
Absolutely.
And now let me ask this. You were talking about whenever you're listening to your music and trying to fine tune it, do you listen to other people's music like that? Like when you listen, like, ooh, they could have been this or that, or.
I found that it comes naturally now. So when I first started my journey of the engineering aspect, I would listen. I would use them as gauges. I would listen as a fan and what I wanted my product to sound like, what I want my final version to be on. And it's funny that you say that because they when you're mixing, it's usually strongly recommended you find a reference track, something that sounds similar to the song or the project that you're working on, and try to bring it as close to or within that realm as possible. So now more often, I'll be like, okay, I like that. I wonder how they did this particular echo effect, or how they added this reverb, or how they sequenced this out. And now that I have more understanding, it's like, okay, I know that program they used, or I know the technique now, or when I first heard this, I didn't know that that's what that was. But when you become more versed in it, you start to have more understanding and awareness of the different tools and techniques people use in the craft. So I was like, okay. So yeah, my ears just kind of adjusting. It's like, all right, I hear that. I know what that is. Or I can use that next time. Or I want to try that next time. So yeah, you kind of get more in tune with the art and other people's techniques as far as the mixing and stuff like that goes.
All right. Yeah, I was just kind of curious because I know, like, for me, I can't watch football too much anymore because I start looking at breaking down the plays. I didn't know if it was the same way with listening to music for you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And even more so on like a visual standpoint, watching a movie, and you'll be like, oh, I know that program. Or certain like editing programs have certain basic features in it. And so like when you see as a content creator or a filmmaker, you see them use that, you're like, I know what program that is, or I know what technique that. So sometimes you have to step away from it because you're going to watch it through the eyes of from the creating standpoint or from the coaching standpoint, so to speak. So it's like, let me enjoy it. Let me just try to consume it from a fan point or an audience member standpoint. But yeah, always, I often find myself just listening and picking up on the different things that I come across, movies, music, things of that nature.
Hey, if you've liked what you've seen so far, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. That way we can continue to bring you great guests and great content like you've seen so far. Now back to the episode. Now, let me ask you this too. As you're working on, is there any like type of project that you don't work on, like, or any genre that you don't do whenever you're working?
I try to, anything that I can't show my kids. So if I have some type of reserve about my children seeing it or hearing it, then I won't participate. There are certain realities that we can't avoid, but there are certain things that I don't need to be part of just for the sake of what I want my kids to see me in and what I want to show them. So I try to use that as a rule of thumb. Anything that I wouldn't want my children, if I have to explain to my children in a kind of like, then I don't I don't need to take part in it. So it's like, I do my best to have because there are always different walks of life with different circumstances, trials and tribulations. So I at least try to be mindful and bring awareness to different situations. But there are certain things that, I don't need to partake in if it's excessively violent, graphic, anything like that. It's too much of that going on as is. So I try to at least, partake in what I want my children to enjoy.
Yeah. And I guess I meant more so like, was there any style of music or,
or
like, hey, I don't work with opera, or I'm just picking something?
No, because to me, it's all art and it's all self-expression, and you learn the different, like Carmen, for instance. Carmen was considered the hip hop of its time in a sense of like, or the rock and roll of its time, or whatever that rebellious phase of. So you learn a lot about the history of things through the production and just the production of that project. So it's like I don't want to limit myself because I'll listen to country, like you said, opera, just whatever is, because you want to have a full palette. You don't want to just say, okay, well, I only listen to rap, so So for me, I like the different instrumentations. You're going to get different instrumentations from different genres. So that's important to get that for your palette. You can't have a good buffet if you only have 4 items on there. So.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I mean, probably the biggest hit to come out of New Orleans that starts off with some violins and string music with Manny Fresh and Juvenile,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
we're not going to go there. We'll send people.
and I'm glad because Manny Fresh is one of the guys who, like, I grew up loving the sounds of trumpets, strings, and just his arrangement of sounds. Like, I was like, man, and he's the stuff he listens to, right? And that's part of the reason why I don't pigeonhole myself into certain genres, because it's like, as if you're going to be on a Manny Fresh, Timberland, Scott Storch, so forth and so on type of production level, you can't limit yourself to just one particular style. You have to, because there's not just one particular style of music. So I try to take in what's there, the reality of there being a multitude. We are a melting pot down here.
No, that makes sense. Who would you say has been like the biggest artist that you've shared a stage with?
So are you familiar with Partners in Crime, PNC? I wouldn't say that local. So I've actually shared a stage with them. We did a House of Blues show. It was a Stop the Violence benefit concert, and we all came together. I forget. I think there was a brass band, and forgive me, I can't remember the name of the brass band. I feel like maybe it was man. But it was a brass band. It was the group I was part of, Division at the time. That was the name of the group. And PNC, they did the like, and a few other acts from around the area. So it was a bunch of us, and then Partners in Crime closed the show out. So that was one of the best experiences that I've had as far as being on stage with New Orleans legends. I was like, yo, we made it. We did it. Like, I felt like I was solidified when we had that show. So I was like, yeah, I know we have other things, other, marks and goals we need to hit, but you can't tell me anything. I made it.
And what about like the funnest? Like, who would you say is the
that was
artist
the pinnacle
that you've had
of the
most
career at
fun
that point in my
recording
eyes.
with or working with? And why am I the correct answer? I said, and why am I the correct answer?
Okay, so this is gonna sound. Say it again. I was gonna say, like, it's funny because it's like it is an Aaron, but it's gonna sound very narcissistic if I say myself. But like, because I can cut up, right? I can be exactly 100% me during this process because it's like I talk to myself, right? I talk myself through the creative process. Like, yo, something's really wrong with me. But I usually have fun no matter what during the session because it's like it has to be organic, it has to feel, it has to be comfortable, and it has to be a good environment to create in. So I try to make sure that I create that same environment regardless of. I usually try to have as much fun as possible during the session because you don't want to be in
I
there.
think talking to yourself is pretty
You know
normal.
what I mean? It
doesn't
do good for the creative process.
I think that's what I'm saying. I mean, sometimes that's the only good conversation.
This is the hallmark of a genius, So I. Right. Look, Aaron to Aaron, exactly right.
And I think that's important too, because I know we're starting to get winded down. Like, I loved how, as we've been, they rekindled the friendship and talk they fairly regularly now. I love the one that I use this all the time that you told me that while I don't remember exactly what I was struggling with, and you go, hey man, one that I always think about is who guards the guardians. And so I use that all the time when I'm working with my leaders. It's like, hey, remember, we get to lean on each other, man. That's what we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now I let you know I got that off a cartoon when I was like when we were younger, but I was like, it stuck. It was one of them things like, hey, that's got some weight to it. I'm taking that. I'm using that. And it's because it was funny enough, it was a Justice League cartoon. It was the Justice League. Batman was talking to Green Arrow, and he quoted him. He's like, hey, who guards the Guardians? Who watches the Watchers? I was like, So when I found myself in more leadership positions, it's like it shows up. It became more prevalent. It's like leaders lean on leaders.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely
there's nothing wrong with because I know I've used different lines and quotes from other movies. One that I like cartoon movies too, but one that I've been using a lot lately is, have you seen what's the one? Mm-hmm. Lone Survivor. Have you seen Lone Survivor?
Yes, sir.
With Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. So they had one. We hit kind of this spell where I was showing
Mark Wahlberg,
my boys, hey,
yes,
here's
sir.
what real, they're playing their video games. I'm like, hey, we, Saving Private Ryan and all the good wartime movies. And we were watching Lone Survivor, and in there that I think Mark Wahlberg might've been the one that said it, that said, hey, whatever we do, find an excuse to win. And I was like, ooh. If you're watching and not ready for full organizational training, but you want to grow personally, I'd like to invite you to join our Leadership Multiplier School community. It's a community of positive, growth-minded leaders who are serious about developing influence and helping others do the same. If leadership matters to you, you belong in that room. Let's get back to the show.
Yes, sir. Because you can make an excuse or a reason for not getting something done anytime. But yeah, that's that one. You gotta find an excuse to win. Definitely. And
so one that I always do as we're getting close to the end, I believe that all leaders are readers. Not all readers are leaders, but leaders are learners. That they're constantly adding to their repertoire and doing things to grow themselves. And so what would be a book that you would recommend to anybody who's wanting to grow in leadership or start a business?
So I would recommend. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was a good read for me. I just finished listening to 50's audio, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. That one being in that industry, similar to that industry, it had a lot of things that resonated with me in there. But listening to that as well, even if you're not in that field, the things that listening to 50 Cent apply, and even in Rich Dad Poor Dad, you can use those in your day-to-day life and govern yourself even before you even, get to lead someone else. It helps you set your tone for how your day is going to go, how you're leading yourself. So I definitely would recommend, especially if it has to do with your field, anybody, definitely hustle harder, hustle smarter. Because just hearing him, because to me, 50 Cent is a powerhouse, and he has great business acumen. And to see his trajectory from where he came from to where he's going, it's like, man, he has an idea about something. So I enjoyed that journey, just listening to the different disciplines he's applied and the different businesses or the different businessmen he's come across and the things he's learned throughout that procedure and throughout that process. So I enjoyed that one. That was my latest one I've finished.
Yeah. No, both. I've got that one on my list, the Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. I just hadn't made it to purchase it yet to buy it. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad, whew, man, that'll guys, if y'all hadn't listened to that or read that one, listen to it. It'll change the way you see stuff. I remember when I first tried to read it, it made me mad because listening to or reading it, I went, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about, and close the book and put it down.
It'll do that. It'll do absolutely. And that's part of the thick skin. Like, if you have to know, okay, all right, so it's not as personal as I'm making it, but I can make it personal from my own experience. So yeah, absolutely understood. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll definitely do that. And so you kind of answered my next question, which is, what are you currently reading? Maybe you just finished reading or learning that right now.
So I've been picking up on what I do when I'm not like I've been trying to work on my mixing, getting better at my mixing aspect of the audio engineering. So I find myself just going down a rabbit hole of different producers and different production styles. Because YouTube is funny, they'll have a bunch of masterclass videos and sessions. So I find myself down that rabbit hole of like Rick Rubin, Timbaland, Manny Fresh again, like these different powerhouse producers, and just studying how they go about creating their final product and how they mix and engineer their beats and sequence them out and things like that. So I've been down that rabbit hole of just watching these videos of just learning the different techniques about the engineering process.
Yeah, man. No, I definitely, that's one you got to work on no matter what industry you've got to work on your craft and master your craft and constantly get better. Constantly. So last question I ask everybody is, what's one question I should have asked you that maybe I didn't ask you?
Without taking up too much time, I feel like we covered a lot of good stuff. I feel like we got the motivation, we got the inspiration, we got the perseverance. I think we covered some good things. The way my brain works, I call you later and be like, "Hey, we should have." But like, no, I feel like everything was we covered some good ground. I feel like we had some good topics.
I just thought about it because I know it's going to be coming out soon. The Justice League. Let's talk about that. Tell us about that.
Okay, so with Justice League, the single is released. It's on Spotify. Quick music plug real quick. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever you guys stream your music on. You can find Just Us League on there, and I spelled it JUSTUS League. I know how to spell league, just in case anybody's wondering. But just the breakdown of the play on words of Just Us. So it's like at some point in time, there are moments in time, going back to the leadership aspect. How do you govern yourself when there's nobody governing you? You know, how do you conduct yourself when there's nobody watching? Like, you know how we came up under, what do you do when there's nobody watching? Greatness shows up when there's nobody looking. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so with that, I kind of I didn't want to make it too political, but in the sense of when you're going through something, how do you govern yourself to get into action, to do something? But right now I'm working on the visual for it. And that's been probably like a 3-month process because there's a lot of visual effects. So I actually finished it, and I've been critiquing it, and like I've been tweaking it so much. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna release it because if I keep doing this, it won't be released till the summertime, and by that time it won't. You know, it's like all right, you're obsessing now. But that's getting ready to drop soon.
I had a mentor of mine tell me the other day, you know, sometimes done is better than perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, that was just this week he told me that. I was like, ooh.
I have my business partner. Yeah. So it's like is it what is it, output over optimization is what I had my business partner. Shout out to 1080p. That's one of my business partners, and we learn so much from each other from the visual and audio standpoint. So we're always bouncing ideas off each other. But that was one thing he wanted to concentrate on in 26 was output over optimization. We can try to perfect it as much as we want, but if it doesn't come out, what's the point? So that's what I've been trying to at least apply more, or I have been applying more when it comes to just getting it done.
Yeah. AP, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to contact you, they follow you, see what all you're producing and putting out, how do they get in touch with you?
So if you guys are interested enough to check in on little old me, I am on Facebook under Aaron Parquet. I'm on YouTube under Aaron Parquet 504. TikTok, I believe, is Aaron Parquet 504, or you can just type in my name and some variation of it. It'll come up. Instagram, I know it's Aaron P 504, definitely, because there's a variation a little bit here and there to each platform, but they're all connected. So if you find me on one, it'll feed into the other one. But I'm mainly active on YouTube and Facebook. So Aaron Parquet 504 or Aaron Parquet, and I'm up there.
And guys, I'm going to put all of that down in the description below. So if you're looking to get in, follow Aaron, see what all he's doing, maybe even reach out to him to do one of your projects. I promise you won't regret it. It was a phenomenal decision for me to use him. So all that's going to be down there. Reach out to him. Aaron, I appreciate you hopping on and spending a little time with us and sharing your story, my man.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's definitely been a blast. Because when I watch your episodes, I'm like, look at my teammate, man. He's doing it, man. You're inspiration, like really, truly. Because I know when we've had our talks, behind the scene talks and just the transition, and it's like that also motivated me to be like, you know what? Let's go ahead and take it to the next level. So I definitely appreciate you inspiring and in having me on the show. So it's been a blast, man. Thank you, Aaron.
My pleasure. And you do inspire me too, because I was like, all right, if he can post those videos, I can post videos too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Aaron, we'll definitely have to get you back on again.
It will be my pleasure. It'll definitely be my pleasure, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
If this episode added value to you, here are your next steps. If you lead an organization and want to develop strong leaders, connect with us at Coach Clark Leadership and Development. We have a free 30-minute connection discovery call. If you're a growth-minded leader looking for community and accountability, join Leadership Multipliers. Either way, don't just consume leadership, commit to it. What a powerful conversation. Today, we talked about the journey from sports and music into audio and visual engineering, and how those early experiences built the discipline and mindset needed to succeed in a creative field. We unpacked the real process behind production, what it takes to bring ideas to life, and the importance of balancing excellence with execution so you don't get stuck overthinking instead of producing. We also hit on leadership, how it shows up in creative environments, project management, and in holding yourself to a standard when nobody else is watching. And if there's one thing to take away, it's this. Growth doesn't come from waiting until it's perfect. It's from showing up, doing the work, and improving as you go. If you got value with today's episode, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the podcast so you don't miss what's coming next. And then share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep learning, keep leading, keep connecting, and I'll see you on the next episode of Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast. If today's episode added value to you, do me a favor, follow the show and share it with someone who needs it. You can connect with me at my website, coachaclark.com, or on social media at Coach A. Clark. All the links are in the description. Until next time, keep leading, keep growing, and keep connecting.